They actually took me through a life review of every life I've ever had, starting from, like, the animal kingdom, actually the bug kingdom to the insect kingdom to the animal kingdom to the human kingdom, and so I saw everything I've been.
Hello, and welcome to the Evolving with Jessica podcast. My name is Jessica. I am an integrative nutrition health coach, a holistic skin healing guide, and certified life coach. In this podcast, we cover topics such as holistic health and wellness, nutrition, and spirituality. If you enjoy or gain any insight, please leave a review. This makes the show more searchable, which helps others find the information too. This was by far one of my favorite conversations on the podcast so far, and honestly, it could have kept going. You'll hear me express this multiple times in the interview, but I absolutely love the topics we discussed. We talked about past lives. Mariko shares about her experience with death and coming back to life. She offers a fresh perspective on limiting beliefs and how we can change them. We talk about the meaning of life, if time exists, and so much more. I recently read her book, which goes deeper into her story, and it's definitely something I recommend getting if these topics interest you as well. A little bit about Mariko. She is a founder and CEO of Soul Priority, which is also the title of her book. Her mission is to usher in a new standard for building and growing businesses that are aligned with the assignment on her clients' souls. Her unique approach stems from her ability to help people around the world discover and embody the assignment on their soul and calibrate to a level of holistic success, life clarity, and abundance that they only dreamed of. She works with entrepreneurs and professionals who know they're meant for more and are ready for a deeper integration of their life, business, and spiritual path. You can find all of her links in the description, and if you enjoy this episode, I encourage you to take a screenshot and post it to your Instagram story and tag us so we can see it. Thank you for listening and reshare it. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Mariko, before I hit record, you started to tell me about your book, Soul Priority, and your near-death experience. Okay, so this is extraordinary to me. I am incredibly interested. Tell me all about your near-death experience and that you even died, is what I've read. What was that like, and what is something that you realized after you died that you wished you'd known before?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. There's so much to that. So, what was it what was the first part? What was it like when I died?
Yes.
Honestly, I wish we had a better word for it because you don't die. Like, there's no death. I never felt more alive than after I took my last breath. And, like, I was suffering before, I was in a lot of pain, and I remember feeling like breathing was so hard, and then I decided to stop breathe, and I'm kind of funny about it in my book. I was like, "Breathing's overrated," because it really
Right.
is. And then I you just become who you really are, and there's no ego identity, but there's also no humanness anymore. It's like you become your true self as the soul, and then you realize that's who you've always been, and you were like this human for like a blink of an eye, and you come back to who you really are. You remember who you are as the infinite soul. And so there's no suffering, there's no pain. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that happened to me after, and that would take a long time to tell you everything. There's a life review, and I got downloaded new information to bring to humanity, which I call the four soul archetype. So a lot of things happen. We can talk about that. But the other question was, what was it? Oh, what do I wish I knew?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, in this moment in time with where humanity's at, I think what I wish I knew, or what I wish everyone knew, is that abundance because there are people like war over abundance, right? They go to war over things because they think there's not enough. And the truth is there's literally limitless abundance. And the only thing blocking you from whatever you want is you. It's in your own head. So whether people are going to war through the ages, right, thousands of years ago over religion or over money or over oil or whatever we've done, it's ridiculous because we're fighting over something that you already have, or we're striving or working ourselves to death over something we already have. And all you have to do is tap into who you really are as the soul, and then you have it. Your
Mhm.
ego doesn't necessarily get all the things, but your soul's like, oh yeah, you want, oh, let me get that for you. No problem. Right. And your ego's like, oh, I have to suffer and I have to hate my job in order to make a lot, or whatever the belief is. So we have beliefs that lead us into a very human life that limit us from being the expansive, limitless soul that we really are. And honestly, we would have a completely different world if everyone knew that.
I agree. And that is so powerful, like for people to become aware of that. Why do people have this limited mindset? And where does that come from? And how do we change it without having a near death experience?
Right? Um, I think it comes from, I mean, first of all, there's just human conditioning, right? It's part of the plan, I would say. It's part of like the universal plan of like, okay, I'm going to send. So the way I experience God consciousness is that I am, you are, we all are a unit of God's consciousness. We are all one with God. We are all one with the creator, the universe, divine mother, whatever you call it, right? It's all good. It's perfect. Whatever resonates with you. I go back and forth between all of them. So we are a unit of that consciousness sent here to go have a really human experience in order to remember who we are as the soul while being incarnate in these bodies. So it's not like a mistake, like the universe, like, effed up for a second and then left us here. I mean, it's
Right.
like we're here for that purpose of enlightening, of remembering who we are.
So
And I think
would you say it's like a game or it's for fun?
I mean, the Indian culture has a word called Leela, which is kind of like a play. Like it's like a play. I don't know that I would say it's just for fun. Some cultures say that. I think I don't want to, if I say that, it's gonna like definitely demean somebody else's religion, and I'm not here to do that. So I think maybe in the realm of God consciousness, it could be fun. But in the
Mhm.
realm of human consciousness, it's like honestly the biggest work that we have to do. It's the only thing to take seriously here is raising your consciousness. It's when you leave this world, it's the only thing that matters. No one's asking you how much money you made or anything, what kind of house you had. It's, are you soul aligned? What did you do while you
Uh,
were there? What was your experience? Did you tune in more with your soul or just play in the ego realm? That's like the only question. It's not even a question. It's like it's laid out in front of you. And then you're like, oh, that's what mattered. That was the only thing that mattered. It's the only goal. It's so simple.
I feel like that's becoming even more visible to us now. I mean, just being alive, like I think that more and more people are waking up to this, to the difference between, the ego self and the higher self. And
Mhm.
we're able to sense it when someone is more aligned. And it's just so beautiful to be, alive during this life while that's happening. How do you live differently knowing what's on the other side?
I mean, I think I'm completely a different person. I would say like the main quality of your soul, my soul, your soul, the listener's soul, everybody, is fearlessness. There is no fear. And I think fear is what stops us from actually being who we're meant to be here and doing what we're here to do or create. It's fear. And fear, when you take your last breath, is not real. It doesn't exist. And then you realize, I let that stop me. And it wasn't even real.
Mm,
And I think if people could like, but again, it comes down to not overcoming fear and pushing through and all that very like masculine energy. It
mm.
comes from sort of just tuning into your soul, remembering who you are, experiencing yourself as the soul, and then move on.
Okay, so you can live life without fear.
You can, because I think when you're in tune with your soul, there is no fear. You're just love and joy and yes, you have moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, this world is crazy. But, and then it's just love again. And I think that, that carries with you when you leave this world and come back. But it also comes, it's with you, it's with everybody. It's not me. I'm not special because I had a near death experience, or my other experience we talked about. I just happen to remember a few more things than you do. But
Mm.
everybody listening is the same.
So it's my understanding that you can help us understand what you have experienced so that we can come to the same understandings that you have. How can you help other people?
Yeah, I created my own modality of work called astral therapy. And what I do, so this goes back to the other conversation we had before you hit record,
Mhm.
which is that I stayed conscious between lifetimes. And I thought everybody,
Yes.
I thought, honest to God, I would talk about it when I was younger. Nobody would respond to me. I was like, don't you remember like the place with all the lights? And like all we were was like love. And people just look at me like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, remember, like, the lights and, like, the lights that still float around in the room," and they had no idea, like, lights floating around in the bedroom and we're kinda glow in the dark and all the things I would talk about here in this realm. And
Hmm.
then I thought maybe, like, it was taboo to talk about. I honestly did. And so when I was about 19, somebody finally told me that we people, like, don't talk about that, and, like, "What are you saying?" And so I stopped talking about it. And and then I came to realize after my near death, no, actually, that's what I'm here to talk about. That's actually part of my message is what happens in between lifetimes, and not just telling you, because telling you doesn't really serve you. It's entertaining. I can tell you all the things and it's like, oh, wow, it's amazing. I want people to experience themselves as who they really are in the higher realm. So since I was a baby, technically before that, right before I was born, I was in the higher realms. I was in first what's called the astral realm, and then we go to the causal realm. And the causal realm is even higher. The causal realm is a realm of thought and idea. So it's literally where thoughts originate. When we're manifesting something, the causal realm or our causal body is where that manifestation begins. It's the first thought that happens before there's words to it. And so I call that, it's a language, and I call it thought waves. And that's what I feel, that's what I hear, that's what I translate for people is the thought waves of their causal body, so that they know where they're stuck and where we're going to like imprint what they actually want to happen. So
Hmm.
astral therapy is my way of, through, I guess you'd call it a visualization, but it's powerful because I'm taking you back to where you already were. So it's
Hmm.
a remembering who you are and where you were. And we go into the higher realms of the astral realm and find out what your soul assignment really is. I primarily work with female entrepreneurs, some men, and some people who are just professionals, but mostly entrepreneurs, in order to align their soul assignment with their money, because I want people making more money,
Right.
because you can have as much as you want. So, like, why not have a lot, right? It's fine. So we go into the higher realms, into the astral realm, in order to see who you truly are. Obviously, talk to your guides, but also like connect with your higher self, decondition those limiting beliefs that are blocking you and stopping you from being the version of yourself you were sent to be. And then I imprint you with what you truly desire. And then we lock those in with codes. They're like little light codes that I imprint into you. And then bring you back, and then things that we talk about that you desire, that are good desires, start manifesting, because we're working on the causal realm where you originally, where manifestation begins. So that's what I do. But a lot of it is experiencing who you are as the soul, who you are. And not everybody's from here. Like, not everybody's from this realm, from this planet. Some people are from higher realms, and they come here and they're like, it's like they're disconnected. Like, they know they're here for something more. They can't figure out what it is. They're trying a few different things. They want to help people. They know they're fucking powerful, and
Hmm.
they can't quite like launch. And those are the people that I really like working with. I like working with people who are actually here to change the world, who have a huge assignment on their life and just need to like see who they are in order to get that done. So that's what I like to do. And I think the near death just helped me remember who I am, and do that.
I am so fascinated with this topic. I could literally talk about this with you for hours. So, my first question is this similar to past life regression? Because I've looked into that, but I haven't actually done it yet. And one of the reasons why I've looked into it so much is because I have a friend, my best friend, we know that we've been here before with each other, and we don't know what our relationship was before, but we know we've been through this. And so we've talked about, doing a past life regression to find out, like, what was that like? Like, what did we experience together? What was our relationship? Is that stuff that you do as
That
well?
all comes up. Yeah, it all comes up, but it's not always. So I've never done a past life regression because I also remember all my past lives. So like
Right.
another thing that happened in between, like I'm kind of an odd duck. One of
Amazing.
the things that happened during so let me just like, because nothing I say is going to make sense. So we leave this world, you take your last breath, you don't die, but you leave your body. And then you do a life review and you basically see where your soul aligned and where your ego aligned. And it's more complicated than that, but that's basically what happens, right?
Okay.
Then in the near death, lot more happened. I get sent back down. Poof, I'm back in my body and then sick for like a decade. So that was no fun, by the way. And then, but my message was to come back and help people, go back and help people. Remember who you are. Well, I remember who I was in my last life. So in my last life, I was sick. I was a man. I was sick and I left this world. And when they showed me my potential and what I was there to do, my response is put me back in. I'll do it. Like, I got this. I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. And their reply was, you can't. You died. You're dead. And you'll never be that person again. And that's why I do what I do. Like, I don't want anyone living with that ever. And I live with that every day. So after that, a lot more happened. I'm sort of speeding you through.
Yeah.
The book is actually short. It takes like an hour and a half to read because there's no fluff. There's just like, here's the information. But basically, I eventually went into the higher realms called the astral realm, which is a realm or world made of light. And it's just our natural state of being. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then after that, after like literally a lifetime there, I went into the higher realm. From there, I went into the causal realm. And in the causal realm was where I was literally clearing out, I guess you could say karma, just clearing out. But they ran me through not just a life review of my last life, they actually took me through a life review of every life I've ever had, starting from like the animal kingdom, on actually the bug kingdom to the insect kingdom to the animal kingdom to the human kingdom. And so I saw everything I've been. So when we talk about, do you do past life regression? No, I don't. And I've never had one because I don't technically need one. However, what I provide for people, because I don't want to just do it to like have fun and be entertaining, because there is spiritual entertainment and we have to be careful of that and not just like have this experience that is like amazing, but what did it actually do? Did it propel you forward, or was it just an amazing experience and that was it? So I literally call in the moment that got you stuck, a moment of healing that you need. Maybe it's in a past life. It could be in a past life on a different realm. It doesn't matter where in time and space it is. We see your future self. So it's not just past life, because time is not linear. Time's not real the way we experience in this human realm. It isn't linear. So we can go back in life and clear something that got you stuck, that pattern that's been repeating. So I don't just go to like a specific moment that you really want to know, because, oh my gosh, if that's important in your journey, it will come up. And oftentimes if it's nagging at you, it is important, but I'm just really clear about that.
Okay.
And then sometimes we move forward in life and see your higher self and get the downloads of that version of you living on that timeline, that future timeline that already accomplished what it is that they were here to do. And we do both of those in an astral therapy. So it's not past life regression in the way that people understand past life regression. Again, I've created my own modality because I want to get people the results quick. My goal is that you come see me, and then after a while you really don't need me anymore, because you are the embodiment of your soul assignment, and then you can just keep going. That's what I want for people.
I love this. There's a few different directions I want to go in. Spiritual entertainment. Could you give me an example of that?
Yeah, I think spiritual entertainment is when you're having an experience, and some of the saints of India talk about this. You're having an experience, you're seeing all the lights, you're just like, this is amazing. And maybe you're seeing past lives and you're doing all this stuff, but like, did it bring you toward enlightenment? Or was it like watching a movie from your past life? And if it was like watching a movie from your past life, if it wasn't there for a purpose of deep healing or connection or growth, then that's just entertainment. And I've had clients come to me having had past life regression with rage saying, this person did that to me in this other life, and this is who we were, and that's why I hate them, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, now you've got this rage, and now you've got this really great reason to hate this person, and you're unwilling to let it go because of the story that you were told that happened in your past life. And even though it's not good entertainment, it's still entertaining to the ego. And the ego is like, let me just keep thinking about this and feeling really crappy about this and getting more angry. So when we get the ego involved and the ego won't let go, well, the ego's full-time job is to keep you from enlightenment. That's what it's here for. So you start entertaining that ego with all these great stories of, oh my gosh, and this happened, and that's who that person is, and that's why he's such a jerk. You didn't just become more enlightened. You didn't take a step forward. You're just sitting here like watching this program. Does that make sense?
Yes, this is actually bringing something to surface for me that I remember hearing from a spiritual teacher. And he spoke about past lives and said that we don't need to remember them. We don't need to go find out what they were because they don't help us in this lifetime. So I guess what you're saying kind of aligns with that. And that's why you don't want to share everything necessarily, because it could potentially hurt us in this lifetime, and like not only not help us, but could deter us from our assignment.
Exactly. So if something comes up and it's like, okay, in this lifetime, this is what happened, but we heal the whole thing. There's no leftovers. Like, we're done with that. You can let that go and then step fully into your power. So usually it comes down to a point of like the moment you lost your power, the moment you felt unworthy, the moment something happened, sometimes this life and a past life. And it's about clearing those moments so that you can step into your full soul assignment on the biggest, because what you're here to do is fill your potential to like the biggest level possible. And a lot of us are hitting our soul assignment, our soul's mission to like 10%.
Right.
15%, 12%, 2%. And it's like, no, you are here to expand into the greatest version of yourself that you can possibly be. And if we can clear this one little thing, boom, and then you're off launching, awesome. That's what I want for you. I don't want to go back and like be the person that does a lot of past life regressions. No offense to it. It's just not my particular thing.
Right. It kind of makes me think of too, like talk therapy or things like that, where you are constantly kind of poking and prodding at a pain instead of working through it to heal. So these little moments though that you're talking about, where these limiting beliefs and the self-doubt and these things occur, do we need to remember those exact moments? And if we do and we can't remember them, is that what you do, is that you help us remember them?
That's what I do. I help you experience it, not just remember, because it has to be your experience. Me just telling you something is not good enough. I need you to experience that and experience who you are. And then, like I said, we lock that in, we anchor that in, we bring that code into you, many codes into you, so that you can just go live literally your best life and your most expansive life. And then I push you to do even more than you thought. I stretch you to like, yeah, no, you're not clean. Yeah, like once people work for me, they're like, it's like Pandora's box. And once I open it, there's no going back. And I remember one client, she was so funny because she was a successful lawyer and like life was good. She had 3 kids, curious about my work. That's it. And then she saw and she was like, can I put it back? Like, can we close the box again? Because it was so much. And you know what? Today she is a best-selling author and retreat leader and speaker and has her own like card deck, and like her business is, she has a business. It's booming, but it's like that moment of like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I thought I was on track. So yeah, it's fun.
This is amazing. Okay, so these moments is it true that they happen when you're a child, like between the ages of 1 and 7, or could they also happen when you become an adult?
Which moment in
The
particular?
moments that are pivotal to kind of trace back and rewire in a sense?
I think as far as human development goes, that's what we say. That we learn everything before we're the age 8 years old. And I think there's a lot of rewiring that can happen. I don't know if you know this about me, but my husband and I just adopted our daughter from India about 20 months ago. And just
Congratulations.
Thank you. And she was 2 months from her ninth birthday. So she was 8, but almost 9. And, there's a lot of deconditioning and a lot of relearning and a lot of reprogramming. But it's just like, for me, I work on the causal energy body too. So it's not just like in her head, like it's not just like teaching her something new. And I think that, her growth has been extraordinary. So I know that we know that scientifically. And also,
Mhm.
I think there's so much more that we can know and learn and unknow. And so, are things locked in before then? Yeah. But if things are also, again, it's a very human concept of before we're 7, because what if that soul had some conditioning happen before they were 7, but their lifetime before they were in like pretty much bliss? Versus
Mhm.
another child who had something happen before 7 and they've had like, 20 lifetimes of torment. It's going to affect them differently. And so for me, I just like to go back to that original moment that really affected people, no matter what age, no matter what time, because time isn't linear in the way
Right.
we experience it. There's really just now. And then if you want to get really wild,
Yes,
we
please.
all have heard and we all know that the only time is right now.
Mhm.
Okay, so all timelines are happening right now, past, present, future, because there is no time. Linear time doesn't exist. So
So
your past
there's
life is now
okay. There's just like unlimited versions of yourself
unfolding.
unfolding.
Different timelines. And that's why I like to go and find that timeline that is your best version and then get the downloads from her.
Man, can we
It
just turn this episode into a session? Because I would love to experience this with you.
I love that. Well, I have a private group, and once a month I do free astral therapy. Usually it's around like finding your purpose, your next step, something like that, so people can experience it.
Mhm.
So yeah, you could do that actually.
Incredible. Okay, so I want to talk about this in-between space that's also known as home, the healing space, etc. Do you see any instances of people being cast in roles for their next incarnation?
Sorry, you said that I said I didn't hear
In
you
in
about
the
calm.
in-between space,
Uh-huh.
also known as home, the
Oh,
healing
home.
space.
Okay.
Mhm.
For some reason I thought you said calm, and I'm like,
Oh,
calm? Like what? Um, yes. Do I see people planning their next lifetime?
yeah, oh, being cast in roles for their next incarnation when you're in the
I
in-between.
Yeah, I don't remember paying attention to other people. I remember my own. I remember meeting with my spiritual teacher and there was like a celebration and it was so exciting. And it wasn't that I was being casted in the next role. There was actually a celebration or just joy and being surrounded by people who were full of joy because I was moving on to the causal realm, which is the higher realm from the astral. But yes, we do choose in a sense what role we want to have, which also brings me to, and this is a hard one to swallow because, I'm a Scorpio and I can get kind of a little vindictive, but there technically are no mistakes. So when we look at these people who are just the role of like terrible people,
Mhm,
like my higher self is compassionately going, that's the role they're here to do. They're showing us who we are. They're
mhm,
showing us the worst of humanity.
yeah.
And then my ego self is like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
So, yeah, is and then if people have asked me like, well, if somebody kills a bunch of people, do they just get to go to the higher realms? No. But what if they chose it? Right. Still, there are higher and lower realms. And so
Okay.
we do have free will. You don't just go to the higher realms. There are lower realms too. And that's the thing about Earth. So Earth is like a C average planet. We're not that great. We're a C average planet. So there are lower planets and there are higher planets. So for people that are like feeling like imposter syndrome because they're trying to get an A on this C average planet, I'm like, get over yourself. It's a C average planet. Go get that A. Go get that A plus, get the extra credit, meditate, tune
Mhm,
into your soul, do all those things. And then there's people who are trying to move up from the lower planets, lower realms, not just planets, but the lower realms to move out of that because nothing's forever. You don't go to infinite hell. And then there is no time. So it's all infinite, which I think is what humans don't understand. When you leave this world, you only experience infinite time. and not everything is permanent. So you can be in infinite joy, like I was, infinite bliss, and then be back in my human body. You can also be in infinite torture in a lower realm. And then through self-realization of, oh my gosh, this isn't who I am. I don't want to be here anymore. Move up into the higher realm, like Earth, which is higher than the lowest realm, right? Well, then, but they're still like have that imprint of very low vibrational behavior. And they bring that to this realm. And we're like, that person's terrible. Well,
Okay.
they're trying to work themselves up from the lower realms to be
Okay.
where we're at, to be one day in the highest realms. There
Mm,
has to be some compassion too. I mean, don't go near them. You don't have to have lunch with people that are like evil, but there can
right.
also be compassion, or maybe not compassion, but at least understanding
Hmm.
of, okay, they're from the lower realms and they're just working their way up. But I got a great analogy once from somebody. It's like a caterpillar climbing a mountain. And if you think of a caterpillar and you're climbing the mountain, and you're the caterpillar and you're climbing the mountain, and you're starting to get toward the base of the mountain, there's a lot of people, right? And then you get mid-level and there's like less people, there's not picnic tables in the middle of the mountain. It's a little more strenuous. By the time you get to the top of the mountain, there's very few people there because it's hard, right? But if you think of a long caterpillar body, part of the body is on the mid-level and part of the body is at the base. And the base, if you think of a caterpillar, is just as important. The lower legs are just as important as the upper legs, moving that caterpillar up. So I think it's a great analogy for how we're all one, but those people that are closer to the asshole are still important and kind of pushing the rest of us up,
Right.
right? Does that make sense?
Right. Because without a lower, there wouldn't be a higher.
Yeah,
There would just be
yeah,
one.
yeah. We
So
wouldn't have this experience.
how many realms are there?
In my experience, there's seven. Those are the seven realms I experienced. And the seventh and the highest realm was what I came back and called the inconceivable realm. I knew it was there. I could sense it. And I couldn't have, like, I could sense that, like, God consciousness, Buddha, Jesus, where it was like on the saints were on that highest realm. And I could not have another thought about it. That was it. It was inconceivable. And then I hear people say, like, oh, there's X amount of realms, or I don't know. I can tell you what I experienced personally. So I don't know. Other people might say that there's a bunch of realms and I don't know,
Yeah.
just tell you personal experience.
So, okay, is it the higher or the more lifetimes that you've lived, the higher the realm you go to? Or it really depends on
No,
your,
no,
like, how fast you are kind of evolving.
I think so. I think it's more about how because it more isn't better, more lifetimes, because again, you're infinite. So what's more?
Right.
You never weren't here. You
Yeah.
never didn't exist. You've always been and always will be a unit of God's consciousness. So when we say, like, beginner first and last, it's like, no, we have to get rid of that linear thinking, which is
Mm,
so hard because it's part of being human. But I think it's really about effort. You could reach enlightenment in one lifetime. And that's what I saw. That's what I experienced watching other people go from the human realm all the way to the highest realm in one lifetime. But it takes effort. It takes being really serious about the assignment on your soul, and also just tuning into your soul every day and having that be the main assignment that you accomplish. If you don't do anything else, do that.
how did you know that the roles you played on Earth were an illusion?
Before I died or after? Or, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, when you experience, so whether we're talking about life between lives or my near death, because they both bring you back to that realization. When you leave this world and you experience who you really are, you realize everything else is an illusion, if that makes sense. So it's it would kind of be like if you lived your life in like one of those weird mirror houses, when they have all, I've never actually been in one, but you've seen them in like movies or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you only saw yourself as that and you lived your whole life like that, and then one day all that was gone and someone just placed a very simple mirror in front of you and reflected back who you were, and that's all. So you realize the rest of it was an illusion.
Do you have a body?
Yeah, we have three bodies. We have the physical body we're in. We have the astral body, which is the body made of light. And that's like chakras and aura and, that body of light. And then you have the causal body, which is a body of light without the humanness of form. It's just a ball of light, or that's my experience of it, was a ball of light. So yeah, we have three bodies.
I was actually just talking about the one, I'm not sure which one this would be referred to as, but it extends, I don't know, 6 or 7 feet from our physical body. Is it accurate to say that we need to cleanse this aura, this energy that extends beyond our physical body, just like we do our own physical body, because it can
Yeah.
pick up on different energies and
Oh
thought
my gosh. Yeah, you want to get sick? Don't clean your body.
patterns.
I mean, you want to be cleaning all your bodies in order to stay healthy. And, it's not, because in order to fully realize who you are as a soul, live your soul assignment to the highest capacity, you need to be alive and well, right? So,
Mm,
and then the more healthy you are, the more capacity you have to expand into more of who you really are. So I think health of your astral body, of your causal body, of your energy body, and obviously physical body is huge. We look back at the dark ages when people didn't bathe and we're like, oh my gosh, and think of like people in the higher realms going, wow, these people only clean their energy bodies like once a month,
yeah,
right? No wonder they get sick.
right. And but we take, 1 or 2 showers a day sometimes, depending.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. I know there's probably different ways to do it, but what would be an example for the listeners of like how they can clean these other bodies?
I mean, my path has always been I hire people. I go to energy healers. That's what I do. And that's what I've been doing since I was 20, actually 19 years old, but a long time. There's tuning forks, there's sound bowls, there's, self-healing that you could do. There's visualizations that you can listen to that clean. I have a visualize or astral therapy on healing, but really it just comes down to like what feels right for you. What do you feel called to do? And what are you going to do often? Right. So I'm always cutting cords and clearing my energy body, but I'm also always working on people. And so that's important for my type of work. Somebody else might work in a different environment. Maybe they're less sensitive. It all depends. But yeah, if you think of like what we think of people from the Middle Ages, well, what do people from the higher realms think of us? Like, wow, they clean themselves like, wow,
Mhm.
that girl only cleaned herself once this year,
Right.
So
Right.
the point is, it's not like, oh, I can't afford it. Well, yeah, you can because it's free.
Mhm.
Find a way. Is it online? There's lots of people clearing energy online. I have a tuning fork that I really love. I mean, yes, it was an investment, but what was it, like $30? I don't know what they cost, but it wasn't expensive. So there's things that people can do, whether they have money and want to invest in themselves and hire a healer, a coach, or if they just want to do something that's free, but do something.
If this is someone's first time hearing the word tuning fork, how would you describe that?
See if I had it near me. I don't. It literally is like it's a two metal prongs that come together here, and
Mm,
then you hit the base and you maybe put it on your heart, and they're all different frequencies. So mine is the frequency of Om. Some of them are the frequency of the heart chakra. So it depends on what you want, but you can just look up like healing tuning fork and find one if that
okay.
resonates.
Something that I do, I don't know if it's the same, you can probably tell me. I'll play different hertz and different
Yep.
frequencies from my phone, and so that will help
Yeah.
clear me.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I do that before I stay at a hotel room. I just
Yeah.
play the own vibration and clear the energy there. And yeah, it's really about just a daily practice and discipline. And it's not hard. I mean, you can be listening to this as you're going to sleep.
Mm,
It just takes the practice.
yes, yes. I love playing like 432 hertz, or
Mhm.
I think another good one is like 528.
Mhm.
When I'm showering, and also you're also getting the water with the frequency, and also before I sleep, like we said.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing, you speak of a future incarnation purifying myself through a series of hardships and lessons. Is hardship the only way to purify ourselves?
I don't think so. I think it's what I chose. Again, we have free will. You can choose, and I think that was what I chose in order to, I guess you could say, get there faster.
Mm,
I don't think that we have to suffer, but I think suffering is the human condition, and it's how we learn. I
mm,
think you can learn just as much going into a state of bliss. If not, you can learn a lot more. But going into a state of bliss is harder work than suffering. And so I think as humans, we choose it's easier to roll downhill, right? And just
mm.
choosing to end your suffering by going into bliss and remembering who you are is like going uphill. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary. It's just how I chose. And I think a lot of people choose it.
So we don't have to suffer.
I don't think so. But even Paramahansa Yogananda said pain is the prod to remembrance. It works for us.
Yeah.
And then it's like, are you done yet? Are you good? You ready to remember who you are and just quit it? You know,
I can relate to that.
it's like how much suffering? A day, a
Right.
lifetime, an
Right.
hour? Like, are you done?
Yeah. I feel like it gets louder and louder too.
And then I started asking myself, who is the I that is suffering?
Mm,
Because I'm not suffering. My ego
right.
is. My ego is having a great time suffering. It's like juicy. Oh my gosh. Can you believe all kinds of suffering happen.
Yeah.
All kinds of stories that you can keep replaying in your mind that everybody agrees with. And
Mm,
it just causes more drama and suffering. And there's a point where you have to ask, who is the I that's suffering? And am I done yet? Am I done with that?
mm. I have two short little questions that I just want to ask that aren't really too related to this, but one is the earth flat or round?
I don't know. I think it's round. That was my experience.
Okay. And then who's right, the vegans or the carnivores?
Both.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, both. I mean, this whole like you have to do it my way or you're wrong is total BS. They're
Mm,
both right. I think the bigger question is, why are we farming and torturing animals? Does it
mm,
have to be that way? Some people need a vegan diet, and that's beautiful. Some people need some meat in their diet, and that's wonderful. We don't know their experience. And what we say is like, oh, well, because this works for me, I'm right, and it works for everybody. And that's so
right.
limiting. And it's not that farming animals and eating animals is bad, because we're human and this is the consciousness we're at.
Mhm,
But the way we do it is bad. The way
mhm,
it's mass produced is bad. So it's interesting because the same vegans might be like, oh my gosh, like fighting for the Native Americans. And you look back, Native Americans were hunting, and there's no judgment on that. They're like, oh my, you know what I mean? Like, and that's just
right.
speaking personal experience of some vegans I know, where it's like, wait, those very people aren't vegan though, but look at how they lived. Look at
Mhm,
how they respected nature, how they were one with nature. And I think that's honestly the bigger question versus vegan versus carnivore. It's, what are we doing? Why are
yeah,
we taking these animals that have been tortured? Do you think that energy doesn't harm you? It does.
right,
It affects you.
right.
And then, these human bodies do well with protein
Mm,
and animal protein. I like to, I don't eat, the personally, and there's no judgment for me. If I'm going to do something, it might be like turkey or fish.
mhm,
Um, and that's it. And other people do really well with bigger, larger animals. And then I also used to practice Chinese medicine years ago. I'm still board certified. And so in Chinese medicine, they would say, yeah, there's a lot of that yang energy in the bigger animals, and there's a lot of yin energy in the smaller animals. So it's like, who are you going to ask? Right? Everyone's going to have their scientific reason behind it. I just gave you one.
right.
But I think the bigger question is, what are we doing with these animals? That's
So
just me.
beautifully said. Yes, very, very well said. I have one more question for you, but before I ask it, where can people find more from you?
So Instagram at Mariko Frederick, and I'm on Facebook as well. Mariko Frederick, that's Mariko, and then Frederick. And I have a private Facebook group that I would love to invite you to, because I do intuitive readings every week, and I also do an astral therapy once a month. So if you or anybody wants to experience what astral therapy is, I have one coming up, and you're welcome to experience it. And that's free. So nice way to experience it.
Yeah, I think I will be checking out your group. I am so interested in all of these topics. And I will have all of her links in the description, so they'll be easy. And then I have a question that I ask everyone who comes on, and that is, what is your number one health tip? Whether it's mindset, diet and nutrition, physical, emotional, just the one piece of advice you would like everyone to know.
Okay, so one thing we didn't touch on, and I don't talk a lot about it because mindset, I actually recovered from end-stage Lyme disease.
Mm,
And it was in my brain. I was having mini strokes and seizures, and I was very sick. And my doctor to this day, I'm her miracle case. I was the one that she said would only be able to do pottery, like take some pottery classes, because that's the capacity, the neurological capacity that you're going to have in life. And it's mindset. For me, it was mindset. If your
mindset.
mind's not in the right place, it doesn't matter how many drugs, medicine, herbs, healers you go to. If you aren't all in on believing that you are your greatest miracle and that you can rescue yourself, nobody else can come to your rescue.
Mm,
And then get help. You can't do it alone.
yeah, yeah. And there's so much support out there.
There is. And you've got to find it and then invest in yourself. You
Hmm.
can't just hope and wish, and that's why people like you are here, right? I don't have the answers for skin and like feeling radiant as far as like what you do. And you need to find somebody and then invest in them because you're investing in yourself. And you can't do it by yourself. And I feel like if somebody's put in your path and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I want that, then go do it. It's put in your path for a reason. The
Mm.
universe is like, here's your answer. So that's how I feel.
Thank you so much for that answer. Thank you so much for coming on. Mariko,
Mariko.
Mariko. I love that. It's beautiful. And again, if you would like to hear more from her, check out the description. And I hope everyone listening has a beautiful day.
Thank you.
That concludes this episode. If this resonated with you, please give it a rating and review. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. Links are in the show notes. I sincerely thank you for your time and your presence.